Hello, hello, hello. It's Monday Fun Day again. Is it Monday? It's Monday already? Woo, I missed that last Monday. I had some stuff I had to do, but woo, me and the guys are ready. You see them behind me? You see them back there? They ready today. Um, Had to give them a little bit of a break. Um, Now their water is a lot clearer. I think maybe, I don't know. You probably can't tell. But anyway, they needed a little break. I needed a little break too. I had something to do. But anyway, it's Monday Fun Day. It's April 24th, 2023. We just getting through this year, aren't we? Okay, so today's show, okay, this is the Adroit Living interactive live stream with Tina Phillips on Mondays. I don't know if I just did something on that computer, but I'm try not to do that again. Okay, anyway, I got my handy dandy notes here so I don't mess up or miss anything. So I do this show on Mondays at 6 p.m. Central. I mostly provide guided perspective regarding highly requested topics and mental health as it relates to wealth, relationships, and self soothing techniques to help strengthen the whole man. Viewers are free to interact during the live stream or comment afterwards. Even connect via inbox. You're also welcome to donate financially as you feel led. This is a live stream of guided perspective and not just my opinions. I provide trusted peer reviewed studies and other well established trusted sources for reference. But don't be intimidated. I always have jokes and have fun and keep you well informed. At times, others will join my live stream and share their guided perspectives as well. Um, but laughing is mandatory as prescribed by uh, the Laugh Doctor himself, Dr. Paul McGee. I'm just joking. He didn't prescribe it, but check him out. Check out his studies advocating for humor and laughter to promote well-being. I think you'll find that interesting. Let's see the comments. I'm giving people time to get in. Hey, Sean Anthony, thank you for coming. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. We got something for you. Got something for you. Okay. Before we get into the topic, we're gonna give more people time to get in. I know it's been a minute. It feels like forever when you miss one show, right? But anyway, I was rushing so much. It's been a long day. I forgot my little matching head wrap, so you're gonna have to deal with if you can't watch it because I don't have my hair wrapped and you're in some part of the world where you can't see it, gonna have to maybe do a recap or you can ask or request this. But I today. But anyway, I mean it's been a long day. See how long of a day it's been. I'm like it's been a long show and we just started. But anyway, before we get into the topic, I'll give people time to join in. My husband was telling me about a young preacher who has been noted for being controversial, not just recently, but he's been a bit controversial for a while. He was sharing his personal videos about things that his wife, as a wife, has done with her husband. Um, and my husband was saying, it seems the controversial preacher shared a personal video of the couple interacting with, and it may be, degrading her spiritual ministry because it's a bit personal. She's a woman, she's a wife. There's certain things that a wife does with her husband that everybody shouldn't see. I talked about this on other shows, but um, anyway, um, I'm going to get into this because later, not in this show, but the wife has a strong ministry and social acceptable reputation as a pastor. I've always said this life is different for a woman's from a woman's perspective. Most women just don't openly discuss it. Yet we can see some of the issues women face when we look at the woman in the Bible who held on to the hem of Jesus' garment. She did what she had to do despite what it looked like, even at the threat of death. So that's just a teaser for another episode. We can go deeper into that on the upcoming episode. I'm a bit behind schedule um, because I'm human. So we were going to get into that this week, but I'm going to have to wait till next week. Hi, Eddie. Thank you for joining. He says, surprise, surprise, predictable. Um, yeah, sometimes, but when you gotta stay ready. It's always something surprising going on. Because you juggling so much as a woman. You juggling mom, sister, daughter, auntie. There's so many roles that you put on, and those roles don't take a break. Whereas even if a woman goes to work, she still has to be able to successfully juggle all of those things because she's more than that. Oftentimes, the glue that's keeping things going. Uh, yes, knowledge is the way to go. Hello, Eric. Oh, you here? You here? Say it loud, say it proud. Okay, stick with me. I got something for you. Got something for you. I'm gonna try to go a little fast so we can get to questions at the end. So stick with me. And if you're watching this and it's being recorded, guess what? You can slow it down. You can fast forward, or you can skip around. But anyway, for this episode, we're going to talk about misconceptions. This topic will organically lead into the next episode. I was supposed to do it last week so it can organically lead into the episode you're going to watch next week. So these are some real hot topics. Y'all stay tuned. Uh, hopefully y'all do. Hopefully y'all love me. Hey, Moochie. Love you, baby. Love you. Love you. Now, Moochie love me. Moses love me. That's my Moochie. I'm going to call him Moochie. But anyway, hey, Moses. I missed you. Okay, so anyway, um, today we're going to talk about on purpose for a purpose. We have many examples of one body, but many purposeful, functional parts that look different and act different because we need different mindsets. I know, right? Only behind closed doors. Okay, Moses. Um, So we need different behaviors, etc. Uh, that all works to benefit the whole. For example, when I call my Moses by his nickname, he knows even though I'm not present in body, he feel me in spirit and in heart and in truth, and that's all that matters. So that's what it's, that's what it is. I know. I'm sorry. So look. A cancer can stop being a cancer. It's not a foreign object artificially introduced to the body or the environment or the workplace. See previous episodes where I dive deeper into this topic. Everyone hates cancer. I'm always upset when cancer claims a life. I don't care if I intimately knew the person or not, but cancer took a lot of my loved ones. What you say? There you go, big Moochie. You grown now. You right. You grown. You see all these grades. That means you helped that. You helped that. I'm just gonna say. I'm gonna put that out there. You helped to put that there. Missing you, and worrying about you definitely helps to create a couple of these little grades up here. Anyway, you know my number. You know when to call me. All right. But anyway, think of the way a millionaire sees cancer within their organization. The mindset of a one percenter is a global mindset, the mindset of a rare phenomenon. So, what do I mean by cancer isn't something that's foreign to your body or organization? You put it there. You hired these people. These people are there and they can become cancerous. But what you can do is you can, for example, I'm going to give you a great example. Some people get hired and all they do with technology is they push a button, they push a button, they push a button, and they never learn anything more than pushing this button. They were hired to push this button, they push this button. So when the time comes, they're pushing this button is no longer productive. It becomes a cancer. So they remove the person. And if they go to the person, they ask the person, do you know anything else? And that person says, no, I'm just here to push the button. I'm getting paid a whole lot of money just to push this button. But then that job is no longer relevant to the times. So they say, well, we appreciate your service, but you got to go. So that person becomes a cancer, but it's actually a trigger to the cancer because they're the one pushing the button that's triggering the cancerous behavior. So what they do is they go and reprogram the program that ignites this button pushing, and they remove the person. And that person, if that person knows more than just that push the button, they are also removed to another location where they can be more productive, even if it's outside of the company. So that's what a 1%er looks at cancer and sees. So that if we start to put that in more perspective, of course, go back and watch the other episode where I talked about it in the body and how that manifests itself. We can understand things in a more holistic manner. So this is adding on to that. So please make sure you watch those other episodes. So cancer is the body's response to negative stimuli within the body. Not to overly simplify cancer, I'm just saying in short. Again, see the previous episodes where I dive deeper into the topic. Now, building on the previous episode, there are advantages to being disadvantaged. You can't always control this aspect of your life or business, family, and relationships. Your perspective on things is because it's that aspect that makes a disadvantage work for your good. For example, if you made some mistakes in your life, go apologize. Be apologetic. No one's going to forget that it happened. But what you can do is you can make up for it and constantly show that you have changed. You're no longer negatively impacting the body, negatively impacting the atmosphere. You are now a productive part of the working body that you can control just by changing your mind and changing your behaviors. You and go back to previous episodes where I dive deeper into that perspective as well. You can't always control things that's happening to you, but your perspective on things is important because it's that aspect that makes a disadvantage work for your good. For once I worked for a company that dealt with life insurance, banking, and investments. There was a system, a structured design, but I saw a better way of making money for the system as a common layperson and a practical application approach. One of those things that's easier to share here is the use of banking. If you put more money into your checking account, you build interest at a higher rate and make more money than putting money in your savings account. You'll want to put a spending limit on your account to safeguard it and do monthly checks to see what actively transpired on your account over the last month. There's many ways to see this, but one advantage is you can see what companies to trust conducting business with. If they're pinging your account trying to track your pockets, that's an invasion you'll want to know about. But it's also one of the reasons it's best to keep more than one bank account, even if you're a plain layperson, because multiple bank accounts, if something happens to that account, it had minimum funds in it anyway, and you move money around anyway, and that keeps interest. Well, we'll get into that on a different episode, but we're going to stick to this topic. It's deeper than what I intend to discuss today. So if you want to know more, feel free to subscribe, ring the bell, comment, interact, and donate. I don't mind sharing. There's more advantages to these things than I'm saying now because it gets deeper than that. It's easy to follow financial considerations to practice and attempts to strengthen your financial portfolio. But anyway, now back to the topic. Misconceptions regarding loopholes and super pettiness, kind of still in the vicinity of that banking concept, because yeah, they're real petty for that. I'm just saying, but that's another episode. That's another episode. Here's an example using current events. Think about this. How petty is it to have a million video posts that are only 2.97 seconds long, dancing to the same song, but in different posts to avoid getting in trouble playing someone else's music when that artist didn't grant consent for anyone to share it? Super petty, right? Yeah, I know. I'm not trying to give anyone any ideas on how to upgrade your level of pettiness. I'm just saying, God ain't finished working on me. But I have some uber pettiness levels not seen before. So I'm happy God bridles my tongue and guides my behavior, because a misconception that God saves people just to spare that one person is a wildly popular misconception. Every smile is not always derived from inside jokes, but rather the truth that Jesus saves. Because some people, they got some ideas. Another why don't you do that though? Don't nobody go out there and start doing that. That's just super petty. But anyway, another widely popular misconception is that people don't want their adversary to level up because some shallow, self-grandializing reason. Adversaries mess around with you because they don't believe you'll play the long game. They believe they can trigger the ignorant side of you to surface in you, so they can claim to be the victim. So people believe it's worth showing a Karen they wish it would be them that got tried or triggered, but God got a way that spares people in unknown ways. Some people are uber petty, such as an uber petty person will wait to see a harmful situation play out, then sue everybody involved in what was intended to harm, victimize, hinder, or trigger a response to stimuli. Stimuli, which is often legally identified as assault and other legal jargon. It's good to know the law and legal loopholes. Um, but here's where the uber pettiness kicks in. Individually suing adversaries on multiple legal levels using multiple different claims in different suits, dragging the suits out over the span of the years equal to the number of years of treatment, then including all those legal fees into the suit to be charged to the offender, all while watching the offender lose everything they intended to take, endure, push off the for you to endure the affliction of the whatever it is they're trying to victimize, covet, or otherwise harm you or make you suffer. Then turn to the offender, smile and say, I tried to do as I'm led to do, so not every battle is mine, but if it was, this is what it would look like. New levels of uber pettiness, right? I'm not done yet. Hold on. Anyway, movie and TV producers think they know what a vengeful story is until they turn on the real news posted on social media and see something truly inspiring, like what I just said. Anyway, now imagine if your mental health was so strong that no matter what anyone said to you, no matter what is going wrong or not going as designed, in it never knocked you off your square. No matter what it was, it just never knocked you off your square, because that's the intended purpose for people doing these things to you, to trigger these responses in you, to make you act ignorant, to make you do something that victimizes them, even though they were the aggressor. They were the ones that approached you, and they were the ones. You can't wait for somebody to help you. You're your first advocate. You're the first person there in the moment that you have to defend yourself. Even children are starting to more and more defend themselves because they see no one's helping them. No one's coming to their aid. No one's doing what they feel resolves the problem outside of their presence. So it's evolving. That's for another show as well. We'll get into it because that's my heart right there. I don't want to miss any topic in that because, yeah, I love the kids and I really hate to see what's going on with them, that they have to self advocate in such a way that it's fatal. It's fatal to the offender and it's fatal to the victim. But we'll get into that in another show. Anyway, imagine seeing people trying to harm you and being unbothered, unreactive in the moment because your behaviors can't be artificially controlled or manipulated by random stimuli because you were triggered or raptured. Somebody is not happy and he's trying to splash water on me over here. Anyway, I gotta probably do these episodes somewhere else because it's not making the fish happy. Anyway, What was I saying? Oh, that fish is bothering me. Anyway, I know it's not that I'm afraid of the fish, but yeah, they can jump out because it's not exactly covered. And no, this is not a picture. This is a real background. It's my real aquarium. And if they jump out, I will scream. Okay, especially if it touches me because I don't do all that touching. But anyway, I don't do all that touchy feely. But anyway, imagine that you are so unbothered that you don't react, that people can't trigger you to be ignorant because you were triggered or raptured in the moment and lost yourself. Imagine transcending to such a stable mental state that your journey in life, um, through you will be pressured like this, like a diamond in the rough, as the rare precious jewel you are, and that nothing can change that strength of your sound mind and healthy mental state. You are a rare precious jewel because you cannot be duplicated or replaced. See my previous episodes where I explain more clearly. Anyway, mental state always refers to the mind. So there's no need to say mental state of mind. You can say that, but you don't have to. But imagine having such strong mental health that you're not manipulated or triggered to react in ways you'll regret. It is possible because transcendence is the highest level of human hierarchy of needs. See the episodes where I talk about the that pyramid of the human hierarchy of needs, and others around the world and throughout history have obtained such a powerful state that they have been historically influential. With the internet becoming globally popular, more people are becoming increasingly aware of the possibilities and variety because more people have global studies and they are learning things about people around the world. For example, it's trending in local areas to say things like, I wish you would try my patience. You're not really saying you wish a Karen would. You're not really saying you wish a nickel or a dime or someone out of their goddamn mind would. So you can lose everything you've been balancing in your life, even though you can't take no more BS, but you're willing to lose everything for the one moment you're in, for the satisfaction of the pleasure in the moment, to take every miserable moment in your life out on that one person who's trying you in the moment, because it'll be worth raining down hell on the person that you that made you jump off your square in order for you to reach them. And a lot of times we're looking at it like that is really the spirit of what's going on. And I think one of the reasons is because misconceptions and loopholes. People believe that these loopholes is a misconception, that these loopholes are going to spare them, that these loopholes are going to justify them, that these loopholes are going to do something that it's not going to do, because really, if you in these streets, guess what? You could be gone the next time you try somebody because you thought, oh, something was going to save you, some sort of loophole. Loopholes can't bring your life back. Loopholes can't bring your loved ones back. And you're not thinking about your loved ones when you out here trying and testing people and being triggered and thinking you're going to get away with something that you're not going to be able to get away with because there's no longevity in it. What do I mean by longevity? What I mean is you're going to get caught up at some point, and that point is going to make it all seem like it was pointless for you to have jumped off your square just to be ignorant or just to manipulate somebody or kick crap downhill because you thought it was your chance. It's not. And it's not going to ever be okay. And a lot of times people just wish that they would live their life out and die before it ever comes back on them. But with the internet being more global than local, and um, uh, computers connecting more and more and more, the more that it opens up, and via TikTok, Twitter, and other social medias, the more it keeps opening up and the more AI advances, there's going to be connections made. It's going to link you to some stuff that you wish would have stayed quiet. How about Just don't do those things. Just don't do that stuff. Whatever it is that you don't want anybody to see, stop doing it, because all of the computers in the world and AI continuing to learn and grow and spread around the globe, you're going to notice videos surfacing that you thought were long gone, or videos you thought had got deleted or erased. But there's a redundancy in reporting. And for example, I'm old school, so I've been learning about computers and KPI long before KPI was ever a program. So I know how that works. So the redundancy where people think, oh, well, writing on pen and paper is no longer a valid method of information or transferring information. That's false, because writing something down, now guess what? See the videos where I go deeper into it, but you can write something down, put it in a letter, mail it, keep it sealed through the post office and never open it. And now you have what? That's protecting your intellectual property. But you know what was in it because you know what was on the date of when you mailed it. Now you put it in a secure location and you don't just do one, you do many. So now that no matter what, because this world is so wicked and people always trying to find loopholes because maybe they funny, maybe it's not because they so wicked, maybe it's not because the world's so wicked, maybe it's because people think they funny and they can get away with whatever. Yeah, it's always the redundancy that people don't think about. When they think about they getting away with something. So make sure you watch those episodes where I talked about these particular things. And old school and go anywhere. I said it before. You're not recreating the wheel just because you're improving it. You keep that foundation and you build on it. So if you have intellectual property or you think that you might have something, try that method, keep a hold of it, use your emails, use your computers, and use your thumb drives and hard drives and external hard drives. So you'll have that. That's yours. That's your intellectual property. Yes, please share and subscribe and make requests and help grow the channel. And videos, family, friend, even. I don't, okay, I don't know what that means. Okay, maybe I didn't read it right. I'm trying to get back through this topic before I run out of time. But that's great share, Eddie. Um, okay, so we see a lot of videos going back to the topic. We see a lot of videos where people are saying they wish somebody would try their patience, even though you know you can't take it, but you think that jumping off your square to jump on that one person will give them such a hellish moment that they'll never forget, and you'll always have that moment to cherish. But no, what you're really saying in your heart is you wish God would allow you a David and Goliath moment, because people forget God sometimes wish a hater would too. I'm just saying, it's in the Bible. And in every book of faith, God doesn't call all of us to fight, nor does he make every battle for us to get grimy. But when he finally says go fight, he's saying, yeah, my child, enjoy this rare treat of legendary, epic wonder. I put this treat in your path because I don't want people to forget. I'm a fun God too. I know the hearts of men, and I can grant you your heart's desires. And it'll be all good. But sometimes it'll be epic. So yeah, we see in different states, we've seen how God allows some people to get a little grimy, and it was all good. They didn't suffer any repercussions for having to get a little grimy. Sometimes you got to get grimy, but sometimes you might go overboard. So you got to go as God leads you. But if you don't, hey, maybe you feel like it'll be worth it, but in hindsight, it'll teach you it wasn't worth it. Anyway, God doesn't birth any punks, no matter what we look like. David was a skinny shepherd boy with no muscles, and people noticed Moses' disabilities too. Moses in the Bible, when he parted water, he was going to the Pharaoh, but he couldn't talk. He had a speech impediment. and then he was an orphan, and then he had, he had some issues, and everybody knew, and they could see these flaws and see these problems, and they thought this is something that's going to keep him down. This is something that's like, man, it's so frowned upon. He can't go anywhere with his life. Nobody can use him because apparently his parents didn't even want him. But that's not always the case. Everyone had their shortfalls visible, which is noted in all books of stories about faith. But in every story around the world, in every language, God used who he wanted, and oftentimes that was the very group of people the community labeled or mislabeled the least of the community. Irony, right? Irony. But they can also be mislabeled as a cancer to a well-oiled machine, something that's eating away or degrading at the body or the company or the environment, whichever way you want to see it. But perhaps that's why books of faith are written the way they are. God cares about the least of his people, and his stories in every culture and every label of faith speaks of the least of them. And the message resonates so profoundly with us when we're in our least of them moments in our journey, regardless of the boundaries that divide our likeness, such as our names of cultures, names of faith, genders, of sins, misunderstandings, and misconceptions. God can still turn things around for our good, and that's why we look to God for these things, especially in our times of need. God is fun too. He was like, I think it would be interesting to see what would happen if I took small pieces of small parts of the likeness of myself, then give it free will to make any decision that newly created life can think of, just to see what happens. You see, you cannot be replaced or duplicated no matter how much alike you and others are, because God is fun too. He does irony so well that at times we only get laughs in hindsight. There's some great memories and stories you can tell, I'm sure. But it seems like God created some of us and took a little stubbornness up from himself, a little wisdom, and a little risk for adventure, blended it together into one soul, and spoke life to free will just to see what you would do with it. Then, make it more interesting, he seemingly created others with different parts of himself that might look exactly like you, but all have vastly different everything else. No matter how many people God creates, there's nothing exactly like the other one, because each individual is created differently, because parts of God's likeness was blindly different. I don't think I meant to say blindly. All of God's pieces were blended differently, but likeness is not the same as being, because there's no such thing as one existence being exactly like the other. So all the differences in every being is special, necessary, and worthy of respect. That any to be replaced. If ever loved a person who loved you in your lifetime, if the life never made it outside of the womb, you made a positive difference in the world, and you cannot be replaced or forgotten. God can't forget any bits of himself or his likeness, nor does he have any parts that he can replace, because no matter what, he loves himself and every likeness of himself. There's nothing about being alone. There's something about being alone that transcends existence. And it's played out to trick people into using their free will to decide an irreversible decision in your heart. That's the misconception people are deceived about. Speaking into existence for their journey. This is why a strong mind and a healthy mental state is so powerful. Even though no one can physically touch it or be certain of controlling it in others, it's the biggest trick of all existence and location. Seemingly off topic, but this is meant for you. I recall a time when my Uncle Fred Shuttlesworth and his friend Dr. MLK, along with other affiliates in the movement, were able to travel away from their homes and families. Yet they found local loved ones who treated them as family and at times like royalty when they traveled to new locations. People took the travelers into their homes and no one else knew where the travelers were. So they were safe to be around loved ones and relax. So they were rejuvenated because they had to keep going. I can recall hearing stories about the 12 disciples Jesus told to travel to spread the good word, but the disciples couldn't take anything with them. Yet they would find shelter, food, and be welcome wherever they were led to go. You got to be led to go. Sometimes when you find yourself without loved ones you were always with, now suddenly you might find yourself without that person and you moving around, which is good. Move around. Move around to those people who loved you and you didn't even know them. They didn't have a chance to love on you because you had to get back to that certain someone back at home. Now I know it may be hard, it may be difficult, and grieving loss is always difficult because you cannot replace that person. And it's not to replace that person, but to utilize your time that you have left here in a more productive manner so that you can be a little happier than what you would be if you soaked a little too long in the absence of that person that was always there for you to love on and always loving on you. But it's possible you never physically met these people that love you like family because they've seen you, they know you, they know of you, and a lot of times people didn't even know more than they do now because before back in MLK times they didn't see MLK like physically. They heard of him. He was a myth sight unseen, when they saw him, they treated him like family, like royalty, like man. You come over my house, come over to my house. My house is clean. We cook, we grill, we do this, we do that. You will not want for anything. We got towels stacked already and waiting. We got a linen, clean linen, fluffy pillows. Come over here, relax, rejuvenate before you finish. Going on your journey. Come on over here, lay down, go to sleep at night. And when the march is over, or when the fight is done, or when you've done what you've had to do for the day, come over here. And that was something that was that was love. That was the kind of love that you just rarely see in these days. Even though now, more than any other time, you see the people. You see them on social media. You see them on television. You see the people. So it's natural to say that you could go and see these people and visit these people, and these people will love on you like family to the point where you can dwell less on the fact that now you are without the loved one in your home that you are accustomed to being there. What'd you say, Moses? This this a new approach at point of view felt wrong thinking in this mindset growing up. I know you're right. It did feel like something was wrong, but if it wasn't for that, I would never have known you to love on you, and you would never know somebody is capable of loving you, even though I didn't birth you, even though you're not my blood, even though um, you grow and you grow apart, but that love remains, and it remains accepting because it's that foundation that was built, and God fills the gaps. And what did you say? What do you feel the younger or current generation disagree with? You know, I think the younger generation is hurt a lot of times. What I have from my experiences when young people or even older people would come to me and they would tell me about their lifestyles that a lot of people would throw them in a category of and mislabel them the least of them. We'll put it in that way. It could be a learning ability or a difference. We'll say a learning difference, a gender difference, creative thinking difference. It can be many differences that were not something that they trained the child to do and to be. And a lot of people misconstrue the things that's written in the Bibles that they read and in the books of faith that they read and in the books. Educational books that's written by peer-reviewed people, and they're misguided because they don't have that guided perspective. And a lot of times people will listen to one person instead of learning for themselves, which is what we are told in the Bible and in other faiths, to go and study to show yourself approved, not listen to other people. There was never a time where anything that I've ever read where it said that you need to listen to whoever the authority figures are and the teachers are in your life. So it becomes less apparent to the younger generations that this is unset. This is not what we're supposed to do, although they label it orthodox, but it is not. And I don't know how much of the Bible you read, but I know you grew up in church. But never has it ever been a time in that book, in that Bible, that we were given, that Sister Springs gave us. I still got mine. I love her for it. And there's never been any story in that Bible where I saw that those same people that was mislabeled, the least of them, that God didn't care about them. God didn't do things. God used a whore. He used a leper. He used and protected these people. And the woman with the issue of blood who held on to Jesus' garment, she was a throwaway. She was mislabeled. It's like a book of misfits, a story of triumph and victory of the God of everybody, but he specializes in those who are the throwaways, those who are misguarded. And because people really seem more like they want you to spend more money on what they want. They want you to give to them. That greed and self-indulgence kicks in. And people don't even know because they can't read the room that you're not bringing more money in. You actually kicking them out the door with every dime that they give you, with all the love they're giving you, because you're constantly asking for more, which creates a distrust. And that's why a lot of people are not as trusting to these old school exhibits of love as they were back when we didn't have the global internet and world studies. I've been doing world studies for a number of years now that I've seen so many things, and it was before I ever traveled with the military, because I was always interested in, that doesn't really sound right. I wouldn't say anything because who tells a robber, I know you came here to rob me. I know you in my house and I came home early and I walked in. No, who does that? Give them time to leave or you leave, So it's no sense in fighting every battle. God fills the gaps. And we have to depend on God more than we depend on man. And when we make mistakes, apologize. Be wholeheartedly about the apology. Yeah, people might throw it in your face, but it don't hurt you anymore because you've already did everything you could about that mistake. You've apologized, you moved on, and you're godly sorry. You're repenting, you're godly sorry, and you're moving on from that behavior that you're godly sorry for. So when you repent from something, let somebody know I repented. It's a whole different thing from saying I'm sorry. I'm godly sorry. I asked you for forgiveness. I asked God for forgiveness. And I'm moving away from those things, but I'm not perfect yet. So help me out. Don't look at me funny just because I'm standing in the need, because I don't know who read that Bible and who read the other books of faith. Siddhartha, he wasn't next in line for being the king, but he went out in search of looking for a deeper depth in God, a deeper understanding, something that they weren't teaching him. And he felt something missing, so he went out to study to show himself approved. And when he returned, everybody else that was next in line for the kingdom, they were dead and gone, wiped out. Now it's his turn, and everybody took on his orthodox method of finding God and transcending. So then they began to call him Buddha, and that altered the way of things. Just like with Jesus, when Jesus came, he said, "Others came before me, and there'll be others to come after me." And they keep altering these faiths because it's branching off of the one thread, and that one thread, though, that's why the Bible is written the way it is. It says there are many parts, but one body. There's a single thread, but many branches to that thread. It doesn't mean that it's wrong. It's all attached, and God fills the gaps. We need to stop worrying about everything, because just like every battle isn't ours, all understanding isn't ours either, especially not in the moment. We have to, let things unfold. Even though there's an orthodox structure or whatever, even though there's something set there for us to guide it, to be guided, we still have to branch out and go in that wilderness for ourselves, and learn for ourselves and study to show ourselves approved. A lot of people don't want to do that because they feel like, what's the point? What do I study? What do I look at? Go back to those episodes where I elaborated on these questions and answered these questions and showed you a few things. And keep watching for more, because I'll keep going over it, because we all need this. Okay. So sometimes when you find yourself, you know, in the need of love, now that your love is gone away, past, or whatever it is that that person is no longer there, you find yourself in the need of love. You find yourself having time to be around others where the well won't run dry. I can recall my loved ones passing away, leaving their closest loved one home alone. I know how hard it was. I also remember how they lived through it. Now, pray God give it to you. Hopefully, you have or will accept my challenge to watch every episode at least 3 times with a different perspective each time, and build your critical thinking skills, the ability to be receptive to different perspectives and different point of views, and open your mind to limitless possibilities. Remember, sharing is caring. Subscribe, ring the bell, and stay tuned for more live shows and uploaded recordings. Feel free to inbox me, comment after the live stream, or interact during the stream. So I really appreciate you coming, Moses, and staying in there as long as you have. I know you have more questions than that. And this is the perfect opportunity and platform, because there's other people in your generation who have the same questions that you have. And it's important to ask these questions. And Eric Spate, you come on here, you ask questions that's relevant to you and your generation and your culture of people in your circle. Sometimes we need help. We don't know how to ask for help. We don't even know if people will be capable of providing what it is that we need. And that's why a lot of times people say, well, I can't go to anybody to ask them for help because they help me in the wrong way. They come to their own conclusion. They judge you. They're this, they're that. And you got to take the good with the bad. But it's better than not having anything at all. And you already know that you got to filter out what people saying and doing. But it's something about being lonely and alone that people are trying to avoid. So if you have somebody in your life where you know that the well won't run dry, because the source of where they're getting this that's edifying you is somewhere that's not going to run dry, go to those people. Keep those people in your life, even if you don't keep them in your life all the time. Because I don't know if you noticed it or not, but a lot of people, a lot of good people are leaving this world. And you are now going to be the person that people are running to, because you have the experience. Even if you're still through the experience that have the, even though you're going through and you're struggling and somebody looking at you and trying to lean on you and asking you for help, because you're a little bit stronger than them, because you lived through it this far. So don't underestimate yourself, even if you're standing in the need of help. For example, Jesus was always standing in the need of help. He was flesh. He was flesh and people were looking to kill him all the time. Nobody was like, oh, that's Jesus. That's Jesus. Don't do nothing to him. That's Jesus. He with us. We got him. Yeah. They didn't want to die. That's why. So Jesus was always, in a sense, alone in the way that we look at it. But he always had God. And he always conversed with God, communed with God, stayed in his presence, and stayed in that connection. So if he can do it in flesh, certainly we can do it in flesh because we be parts of God too. We're blended parts of his likeness too, just like Jesus was, and we're in flesh just like Jesus was. So while people are sitting there trying to say, well, Jesus didn't exist and he wasn't, there are many. He said himself, there are many who came before me, and there will be many who come after me. That's another reason why, some people say that the Antichrist will be so successfully deceitful, because people know that there's going to be someone that's going to come after Jesus. And there's going to be many, though, because Jesus used the murderer. Like, what? Not Jesus, but God. God used the murderer. It's like, what? He used who? People were in prison, but God still used them. God does not care about your position in this life. He doesn't care about, oh, you were a bad person at one point. Oh, you made terrible decisions at one point. What he cares about is, do you have a willingness to be used? Can I use you? He's asking. He's not saying, "Oh, I think I might be able." He is able to use whatever it is you bring into the table and fill the gaps to make it something greater than what you could ever make it alone. So you don't need other people. What you need is a stronger connection with God. And that's the one thing that a lot of people are saying, well, I don't want to do that. I can't do that. I'm not worthy. Whatever their excuses are for why they're not doing that. But the point of the matter is, this is the way. This is the way to a sound mind. This is the way so that you can do things and have innovative ideas. Be creative. Think outside the box. Even though you are aware of the structure, you're aware of the orthodox, you're aware of everything that's supposed to go the way it's supposed to go. But for some reason, the reason that those people who are abiding by those structures cannot determine, they can't figure it out. They can't decipher. They can't come to the conclusion. Why is this not working? Why is this system that's broken, but we know it's broken, but we keep following this system? Why do we keep following this system? But we're going to keep following the system because the system is what we know. Don't be that person. You can know it and you can fix it because you have the experience, because you have journeyed that far enough to be able to make the improvements, not necessarily completely throw out the whole wheel, but fix the wheel, maintenance the wheel, be innovative, and advance the wheel. This is the objective. This is the goal. This is how we grow and glow. It is not about cancel culture, because cancel culture, we have people out here saying, please make it make sense. You know why? Because for so long, guided perspective and intellectual conversation stopped trending, and people started believing things that's more entertaining, more funny and safer to say, as opposed to saying, well, this is what it really is. And if you don't like it, I understand. I accept that. We can agree to disagree, but I'm going to love you through it anyway. You can't see that me being outside the box is something that is productive, something that is financially lucrative, something that's going to create generational wealth and maintain generational wealth. But a lot of times they can't see that what they're doing will not maintain generational wealth. And now you see a whole lot of companies closing, filing bankruptcy, and going out of business, and making room for these people who they said, oh, you're an entrepreneur, you're going online selling your little knickknacks, you'll never survive. People make businesses all the time, and guess what? Those businesses never succeed. They fail all the time. Or you want a restaurant? Oh, restaurants are the biggest failing new businesses in the industry. But because you have something that they refuse to accept, This is creating room for you to grow and prosper in a way that was unpredictable using the method of measurements that they were accustomed to using. Everything is evolving and changing and improving. And with those improvements, it's the time is created for those people who were born for such a time as these. It's not to say you got to get rid of these old people, because I love listening to my elders and spending time with my elders, to the point where sometimes they think I'm around because I ain't got nothing else better to do with my life. I don't know why they would imagine that, because it's like young people would not be so involved with their elders to the point that I am. But I do it because I love spending time with my elders. But when they get to that point in their life where they're like, man, I back up, because I don't want any conflict, and I don't want people, to sit there and start one expecting this from other people in my age group or younger, and two, I don't want anybody to feel like, oh, you spending all this time with me because you want something from me because I'm in my final years. I don't want anything from anyone, but I do appreciate all the time that I've ever had with all of my elders, and I always try to make more time for them. So if you're one of my elders and you're aware of how clingy I was, and how not clingy but interested in what you had to say, even though it seems like, why are you listening to me? Because I love what you have to say, because you've come this far in your journey that I have yet to get through. You've come through so many different changes in life. Look at the progression of the telephone. Look at the progression of the television. Look at the progression of education. Look at how many things you've made it through. That's significant. And it deserves young people, young people's attention and their time, and they need to invest in knowing what you travailed through, so it can get them through all of the changes that they're getting ready to go through. Because a lot of times these young people, they think that, these innovative decisions that came along, they didn't know why older people were like, I don't want to learn. I don't want the norm to change. I don't want the company to change and adopt this new method. They knew that if it did, that the company would change different job positions, not downsize, but resize the different programs, and resize it, like you're not downsizing and saying, well, everybody's going to do this one thing, but they're resizing it and saying only a few people are going to do this, so that we can branch off of that to branch into this new department. And then once we've secured this foundation, we're going to bring these people that was over there into this. And they didn't want that, because they were set in their ways. They're like, no, this has to stay the same. So companies have fallen from the heights that they thought they could never fall from. Whereas if they would have only been paying attention to the times and not getting rid of the elders who knew that this was going to happen, they could forecast it because they've lived through it already. But instead, they got rid of those older people. They got rid of the people who had the intellect, who had the wisdom and lived through it, because they thought, oh, for example, when colonizers came and took the land, they thought, oh, I'm going to sit with these people, the natives, for X number of years or in time and space, and I'm going to learn everything I can in each season. But each season brings different things. They didn't realize that. Then they got rid of the natives, took the land, and thought that they'd be able to sustain the land. This is the same thing when people have innovative ideas, creative ideas that advance and inform, advance an ideal or a company, or inform a theory, or something significant to change. You can't do that, because there's something in each season that happens that you, as a colonizer, will not be able, or a newcomer will not be able to to hold the weight of, like the natives that were there for a purpose, on purpose. But you push them out of the way for yourself, and now you have to figure, oh, now we're having all these catastrophic things and we're not prepared for it. We don't know how to deal with it. Aha. But those same elders that you thought would die and you would take over, they're still alive and they're still thriving. and they're still unbothered by these changes because they knew something that they weren't able to pass along to you before you bump them out of the way, telling them they're irrelevant, telling them they're the least of you, telling them they're a cancer to you, telling them they don't belong there, even though they were born and raised there and they've been there forever, and you're just newly coming in to the picture, to the company, to the environment, to the community. You cannot grow by cutting off the wisdom and the knowledge that was already there, but you can build on it successfully if you combine all of your newness with the already pre existing. Even if only to say, this was a pre existing cancerous thing. Never return to that because we have this now. We have grown and learned. So we need the old and the new. What do they say? Make new friends, but keep the old. One is silver and the other one's gold. These are mythological songs that went along with long stories like this one that shows you that you need, in order for the whole man, in order for a sound mind, these are the things that you need. And that's my show for today. Make sure you tune in next week where we go a little deeper into another branch of how we do these things for self soothing purposes, for the strengthening of a whole man, to include the mind that you cannot touch, but it is touching everything. All right. Remember, mental health is physical wealth.